Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dex from Marfoogle News. And look, we've got some major updates on the events that are unfolding in the skies of Europe. As we reported last week, and today it's actually happening, NATO has started the biggest aerial war games they have ever done. It's actually codenamed Air Defender 23. So normally, a military exercise is just like another drill or practice. But with the events that are like going on in Europe right now, obviously, this has many of us concerned, especially with the fact that Russia and NATO are sort of on the brink of nuclear war. We've even received many emails from our military members warning us about this drill. So sure, I guess it's possible it's just another drill, but in my opinion, it's likely some sort of 4D chess move in a real life game of Risk. Like the biggest question I have is, will this actually spark World War III? So just to recap what we warned you guys about, Air Defender 23, it actually kicked off today. That's the name of the event that NATO is drilling. It is like some 250 plus aircrafts, 10,000 troops are on the move, and it's 25 different nations have joined. But get this, they have guest countries joining. This is what's very interesting. So one of them is Sweden, which makes sense. We know they want to join NATO, and we even reported last week that they gave clearance for NATO to put troops in their country before they officially join. But here's an interesting guest, including Japan this time. Japan. Why is Japan joining NATO? This is kind of interesting for sure, because recently Japan and Russia have gone sort of toe to toe with the verbal conflict over territories and over drills that are happening in Asia. And we've heard that Russia was not going to be happy with other members joining NATO, especially those that are outside of Europe and especially those that border him. But Japan is not one of those. Well, they sort of border over in Asia or over in the waters in the Pacific. But very interesting that Japan is participating here. Now we know, we've seen the alliances, we've had the meetings with Japan and NATO members, so that's not a total surprise. But this certainly is taking it to a new level, I think, for Putin. And it certainly begs the question, why are these people like Japan or Sweden, guest, if you want to call it that, countries, allowed to participate in this NATO exercise? So there's a few other things that are really interesting. I've got a quote here from Amy Gutmann, who is the ambassador to Germany. And she said this huge show of strength was intended to send a message to countries, including Russia. This is a strong statement, given the fact that, the borders are lined up with troops. The anti-tank systems are deployed. You've even moved Patriot systems to the borders of all the NATO countries because you're anticipating a conflict with Russia. So to say, that they're not playing around in this drill sort of is not necessarily a comforting word, saying, don't worry, it's just a drill. But then the other one, this is really intriguing. This came from the Lieutenant General Ingo Gerhardt of the German Luftwaffe. He insisted that Air Defender isn't, quote unquote, targeting anyone. Really? Are they not? They're not targeting anyone. They're just doing this drill to do it. They didn't really have somebody in mind when they were doing this drill. We know exactly who they have in mind. They're targeting Russia. They're concerned about Putin invading, or if it escalates from nuclear or from any other thing that happens with the West, what do we have to do next? Or what does NATO have to do next? That's what they're practicing for. This is targeted. That's just bupkis for them to say they're not targeting anyone. And here is yet another interesting statement coming out of this. These exercises are focused on beefing up the permanent United States presence in Europe. So we're not going anywhere, folks. They're saying we're here to stay. They expect this. We're in for the long game. So this is not, hey, when UKR and Russia get their stuff figured out, everybody goes home and we're happy. No, we're gearing up. So their war is on the horizon. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, that's my opinion, but there's no doubt in my mind that the stakes are really high. The question is this the event that's going to start it? Or even more so, here's some other questions I have. Are they using this to move troops? Are they using this to move equipment? Are they using this drill to do covert activity? Are they possibly doing some sort of spying around the territories that from up above? There's a whole lot of things that could be going on under cover of this drill. And I think that's some of the questions we need to ask, in addition to, hey, is this going to actually kick off the entire thing? Hopefully it doesn't. I'd like to think that, cooler heads will prevail. But at the end of the day, we have to be prepared. We, as a fam, have to look at this and say, like, what are we going to take from this information and what are we going to do with it? You may think that this whole thing is orchestrated. You could say that Putin and NATO all work together and they're just planning this. And it's all about, creating more money for the military industrial complex. Sure, that's one theory, but it doesn't matter. Our sons and daughters are going to be affected. The people's lives that live where the conflict happens are going to be affected. So what do we do to prepare? How do we prepare ourselves for that? That's the big question. And what are the ramifications? Because when a conflict like this escalates, it's going to go into bigger stuff. It may not mean that a nuke is going to land in your backyard, but it may mean a cyber event could take out your power grid in your neck of the woods for 60 days, 90 days, a year. What are you going to do without power? How are you going to survive? These are some really important questions that you need to be thinking about. What happens as a world conflict escalates in today's modern times, whether it is space-based, whether it is technology-based, or whether it's kinetic and just straight up, things happening right in front of you. And are you going to be affected? So use this as yet another opportunity to think about your preps and think about what you're doing to be prepared when an event like this happens. Again, big thing happening right now in Europe. Air Defender 23 is underway. Lots of planes in the air, lots of planes moving, massive amounts of troops are moving. So we're asking the right questions. You need to be asking the questions. You need to be digging in, but most importantly, you need to ask yourself, are you prepared? Have you done what you need to do for your family? So, hey, if you like this video, do us a favor, share it out, hit the like button below. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Those things can help us. It helps support us tremendously when you do that. If you want to support us in a different way, feel free to go to one of our affiliates like marfooglenews.com/EMP to learn about EMP Shield. They have a product that can solve and protect your home, your car, your generator, your solar system against the threat of an EMP, against the threat of a CME, coronal mass ejection, or even protect you from lightning. All of those things are available. Go to our website, go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You can learn more about the product and see what it can do for you. And if you use our link, you get a special savings. And if they're running a promo, it gets compounded on top of it. So that's another way you can help the channel. We really appreciate it. Look, folks, just make sure you're taking care of yourself. And if you help us out by spreading the word, that's the best thing you can do. So again, I appreciate your time. Much love, everyone, and Dex out.